All right, I just started recording. Adam, can you see me?
I sure can. I can see both of y'all. How you guys doing?
Okay, good.
Good. How are you?
I am living the dream.
Doing great.
All right.
Well, if you'd like to, we can just hop right into this.
I'm ready to roll, and you are, gentlemen.
Well, welcome to the Austin All Day podcast. Adam
Honor,
Richman, a man in my book who needs no introduction.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
We've seen you. Yeah, we've seen you floating around for years now. At this point, I think I was talking to Short. Yeah,
I feel like fish food.
Yeah, like a good old batch of nutritional yeast on there, and
Hell
we're set to
yes.
go.
Hell yeah. My family enjoyed embarrassing me at my cousin's recent 6th birthday. Shout out to my beautiful little cousin Claire. They were messing with me, and they were asking Alexa facts about me. And
Oh, no.
I was like, please stop. And they were literally like, and so it was, it came out because, kids are like sponges. And my little cousin actually uttered the phrase, wow, 48 and still not married. I'm 6
Oh,
years
my.
old. And I realized my aunt told on herself, though, like Alexa had receipts, because basically, apparently, they wanted to know how old I was to see what, oh, this poor bastard's still not married. And they said, how old is Adam Richman? She's like, we could just ask Alexa.
Right. No, that's
not all true. Not all true.
I would predict that that's not the last time that'll happen with your family now, because that would be a fun game. Huh.
It's fun to watch Adam like curl into himself and become like a withdrawn recluse. But no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I've been like the show and tell thing from my cousins, which is the best feeling in the world. It
Sure.
is, because not like, because I remember having something dope to bring into show and tell, was like the coolest anyway. My dad and I were like, we dug models, and I loved dinosaurs, and I had like done it was like in a bottle of like a dinosaur battle in a bottle. I remember I was like the pimp that day. Like I was like drinking South Beach. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's a triceratops in that bottle,
Yeah.
bitch.
And that's
you said,
go ahead, Troy.
Oh, you said South Beach, right? Is that where you grew up?
No, Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn. Okay.
Nice. So the cousin's still in Brooklyn, family still there?
My cousin Blake moved to Colorado, and my cousin Heather is out on Long Island, where she grew up. And my mom's in Brooklyn, and I just moved north of the city to an area called Westchester, because I fell in love with gardening during the pandemic, and like growing,
nice.
and like I make the bomb pickles, gentlemen. When
That's
I see
awesome.
y'all, I'm a block. I don't put like kind of preservatives, so I don't know how they'll ship. I mean, they're pickled, so one would think they're preserved, but
Right.
we could exchange info. I'd love.
Oh, yeah.
Because the fermentation is so good for you, and I'm blessed to have like chef friends that have given me different recipes, but also because we filmed Modern Marvels and Adam Eats the 80s in so much of Pennsylvania. There is so many excuse me, I'm sorry, that is a backup alarm for, I guess, because I had the the hour thing, and because I wanted to log on, and it was like, bitch, come on, you had something. But anyway, yeah, so I just like, what was really cool was, as good as all the chef recipes were, to meet these like moms and these random little Amish farm stands and find out how they do their pickles, and then to start doing it. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm a dork
That's
for it.
So what do you like about a pickle, if we may indulge a little in
No,
this
it
conversation?
varies. It varies. By the way,
Yeah.
where are y'all located right now? Where are y'all actually physically?
So
Austin,
I'm
Texas.
South. I'm in South Austin, and well, Troy's South too. Yeah.
I'm more like central downtown, but yeah, South Central downtown.
So this is a fact that I hope your listeners know. I thought I had a copy in here. I'm not that arrogant, but I had, if I could find a copy of my first book, I'm fairly certain I had one in my file cabinet. But anyway, the second sentence of the first chapter of the book I wrote was, I fucking love Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And I fell ass over tea kettle in love with that city to a profound degree. And so I actually do know where South Austin is. And, I still have not floated the river, much to my chagrin. And
So fun.
Worst Fest in New Braunfels is so high on my list. But my favorite thing, my friend Amber is a really prolific food writer and traveler, and she's just got a great personality. And she and I ended up in Austin together right around the same time. When I was like, listen, I'm going to take you to Casino El Camino, and they have these green chili cheese fries that are like heroin. It's just like schedule narcotic. And for me, it's just like chilled shot of Dripping Springs and a Shiner Bot and the green chili cheese fries at Casino El Camino. And then it's like I got my feet under me. And like I've been, your city is just so damn magnificent. And I'm sure it sucks because you get so many people moving there and
Well,
oh my gosh,
it's
right
been
now
like that for a long time.
Yeah,
We're
that's
used
true.
to it by now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was almost one of them. One of the things I did was I signed up for the list right after I filmed Man vs. Food Austin, dead ass, for Bluffs at Balcones. And I
Okay.
wish, and I was getting the emails for everyone, it was just coming up. And boy, do I feel like a shitheel not buying there and not doing that back in 2009, 2010. But
Yeah.
I felt, I guess, and I think it's just like the best of it. My pop really loved like cowboy culture and country western music, and my first concert with the Statler brothers. And
Nice.
but it was such a different vibe. People don't know this, so obviously they air Man vs. Food in very different orders than we would shoot it. So we shot the pilot in Memphis. They aired Amarillo first because of the auspicious nature of the 72-ounce steak challenge, the Big Texan. But we shot, the order was Columbus, Austin, Amarillo, Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm fairly certain that's correct. And while we had a kick-ass time in Amarillo, Route 66 roller derby girls were fantastic. Everyone at the Big Texan was awesome. Like local newscasters wanted to take, it was just so thoughtful. But like all of us, it was hysterical. All of us, to a man on that crew, said we could see ourselves moving there. And independent of that conversation, like made inroads. Like I went back so many times. I was so glad we shot the commercial for season 2 of Man vs. Food in Austin. And they were like, listen, if we can get this shot done. And it was me dousing myself in milk, like Jennifer Beals and Flashdance, just like just super perverse. I'm so glad this is recorded and people don't have to actually visually see me doing what I just.
Yeah, I'm seeing everything put together.
It's a sad image, but I got a free day in Austin, so I got to go to Barton Springs Pool for the first time. Go to Baby A's, and the other thing is because the art scene is so fucking, excuse my language, but so vibrant that like I go to swim in Barton Springs, which took my breath away, and then I hear like blank verse. I went to Yale School of Drama. I have a master's in acting from Yale Drama School, so I hear, I'm like, wait. I think I know what play that, and I look, and there's a company doing it in sort of Spanglish version of it was either, I think it was Comedy of Errors, and or Twelfth Night, and it was so cool, and it was free, just out on the lawn. All the food trucks were fire. Met my friends for purple margaritas at Baby A's. It's like chicken boom boom enchiladas. Like you guys live in the Garden of Eden. I'm so jealous.
Well, I mean, you've got it covered. Like a good trip here, Casino El Camino. We'll get the random picture of that on social media, and people like, guess where I'm at. And like that's kind of a hidden gem. But if you know,
Gotta go.
They got killer burgers there.
Great burgers.
I went there last week actually. So
yeah.
And obviously the fine dining scene is so vibrant. My friend Yoshi Okai is absolutely
Otoko,
brilliant. And obviously
he's a character.
Man, he's got the illest tattoos, Yoshi.
He looks the part, he plays the part, like he's just so cool. Yeah.
Have you seen his tattoos? He's got rice up one forearm, the sushi knife up the other one, and his fingers got the fish hook when he does this. To the fish.
I have not seen that.
and he and I were like, I'm a big vinyl record collector and I'm into that power pop, glam pop shit. And
Okay.
so, Yoshi, for those of you who don't know, I mean, just rock star, like
Yeah.
Tokyo punk rock star, like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? And his food's amazing. I met him at Charleston Food and Wine, breaking down the biggest goddamn tuna I've ever seen and making hand rolls individually from the belly of this giant, beautiful bluefin tuna. And but again, and then I was trying to think, my manager sent me to, there was a magnificent, it's like kind of more upscale, more modern, like Latin, specifically Mexican food. I'm trying to recall the name of it. It's super
Oh
popular
God.
now.
Where's
Is it called
Miguel, is it?
Suerte?
Suerte? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been a good one. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And there was even
Yeah.
the little taquerias. I will admit, through the few times in my life I took a scooter because I was pretty far away from everything. And I would rather walk if there was the time, but I said, screw it, it's kind of fun. And I'm really bad on the scooter, so it was really funny to get like between how bad I am and the haterade I got, people going, you should walk. And then I remember that I got there and there was a little taqueria that had popped up on like a Yelp search years ago on the way to wherever I was in Suerte. It was I'll probably pull it up on my phone, but I heard a quote there that I wrote it down because I was like, I need to put this in a movie. But it was this one dude eating with two girls, and he was just dripping like ghetto fab, just fantastic. And he was like, you know, girls out here talking like they want crab legs. What y'all should be talking about is y'all want crab claws. And I was like, okay. Some 4D chess right there. That's how you can separate. That's how you can separate the wheat from the chaff.
So stopping at a taqueria on the way to Suerte. That's how you know you're trying to cram it all in, right?
Yeah, and by all, it's your ass into your jeans.
Yeah.
But we have had so many places like Suerte and then Nixta. I don't know if you heard of them,
No.
but yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Oh, the
Edgar Rico.
Nixtamal. He does like it's Nixtamal,
Yeah.
the name, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. And he's gotten all these awards, and there's all these
Mhm.
places that have popped up, and it's been like, it's obviously been since like '09 when you were talking about that was like a really cool time, but like all the way up until now, it's just like we get a lot of people moving here, but it doesn't really matter because it continually gets cooler and cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, except when that dude with the chicken tried to fucking assault me because I wouldn't buy him a milkshake.
You might get more of that. So is that real?
Yeah.
That's a thing that occurred. Yeah, it sure did. There was a dude with chicken.
A
He
chicken.
wanted a milkshake because I took a picture of him with his chicken. He's like, then delete the picture. I was like, no. He said, give me your phone. I said, I'll give you my phone, shove it up your ass, and the chicken with it.
Now, I haven't had like any of these crazy run-ins downtown, but I do see, because we have some, homeless kind of people here, and I've heard some odd stories go on there, but
yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but brother just wanted to see some bats,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, go ahead.
I haven't been to it. No, I really want to go to one of the soccer games.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The best.
And and I just think, I had two friends from drama school a year behind me. One of them was a brilliant actor that you've probably seen if you watch Fabulous. Was it Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Yeah.
My classmate Leroy McLean, he was a year below me, plays Shy Baldwin. He's also in that new Sex and the City reboot. But he and a guy named Ryan King, who we used to jokingly call Walt Disney's the Ryan King, were both from Round Rock. And it was funny because I always just sort of looped it in with Austin and always just thought they had really profoundly cool music sensibilities and knew some of the more Texas and Oklahoma and Midwest centric bands that I came to know through doing my show. It's like, when I did a play and I had an apprenticeship at the Guthrie Theater in Minnesota, and suddenly you're learning more about the Replacements and you're learning more about Semisonic and you're learning more about all the acts that are coming, like obviously Prince and whoever else he launched out of Paisley Park. So obviously with Austin, Gary Clark, and like these incredible artists, and plus just even like random people you've never heard of that just haven't gotten seen yet, but just crush. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
remember one year I was there, it was like Satan was smiling. It was St. Patrick's Day coincided with the first day of South by. It was just, it was like, oh, this is what it was like when Dionysus was alive. I got it now. Now I get it.
Yeah,
But in a good way.
every year.
But it
Every
is
year the South by parties are crazy because of St. Patty's Day. So.
nuts, nuts. Is Mighty Cone still operating? I heard they moved off of South Congress because they built all that stuff. There's no more fields like across
Yeah.
from where Guero and Tip
Mhm.
Top Candy Shop. There's that really dope Western store where we all got like shirts or boots or something. I don't remember.
Allen's Boots or
That might be it. Like an older
yeah.
place, yeah.
Yeah, there's a Mighty Cone kind of off kind of like by Barton Springs there. There's a food truck right there. And they might still be there. Last time I was there, they were still there. I'm not sure, but
They
yeah,
were
I mean, that's
wonderful. They were
yeah.
wonderful. I can't recommend their stuff enough. They were apparently they are the food truck. I want to say the restaurant is something, it's not Woodshed, it's something like that. And like it's like a well-known restaurant, but it's I can't, but it's like a fine dining restaurant, and this is their like fun project on the side.
Oh, nice.
But I remember an ex-girlfriend's brother who lived there sent us down to I want to say it was like maybe SoCo and Riverside. It was called Tacos al Pastor. It was a truck. I think it had like Ren and Stimpy spray painted on it. Those tacos were fire. Oh my God. I crushed an indoor. I had just seen like Gogo Bordello play downtown. And then I was dressed. I mean, I didn't do any kind of weird eye makeup, but I was Kim Jong-il. I was like just picking the last. What's that place on South Congress? That's all the not Junkman's daughter. What's the name of the place? Lucy in Disguise.
Lucy in Disguise. It closed down.
Yeah.
What?
Well,
Just
I
Oh
think they
my
moved it.
God.
Troy, I
day-
think
Yeah,
they
well,
moved it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's closed on Congress. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
hell, man. The day
Yeah.
after Halloween, the return line looked like the Exodus from Egypt. It was
Yeah.
at the DMV. And I had gotten a Kim Jong-il costume because it was what was left. And I just like put a bunch of big old gold chains and dookie ropes. And I wore my like mirrored Air Force Ones.
Air Force Ones.
And my girl at the time dressed like she had like there was like they had like a women's communist military outfit. And I took a hotel towel and I rolled it up and I coiled that sucker around my leg like just a big anaconda. And I just walked around.
That's a
like,
good costume.
It was, dude. I lit up 6th Street. They were like, this guy's out of his mind. He fits in perfectamente. But the thing that I really love is a lot of my friends that have relocated. My cousin relocated to Boulder, and I had a lot of friends from New York, naturally, of course, but relocate to Austin and to Round Rock and to even areas like not far from Dripping Springs. And
Yeah.
I personally, I get it. And I've talked about it even with my mom. I mean, a city that's so environmentally conscious, a city that's so arts conscious, a city that has such a mobilized populace that to be, and I'm not shitting on anyone's politics, but to remain both the capital and in many ways this very defiant blue spot in a very red state.
Yeah.
Where people can find a home and a voice and a means of expression, that for people who haven't been, who reduce it down to, oh my God, I saw my favorite influencer at like South by, and she was getting like the shocker from Young Gravy. You know what I'm saying? Versus, I don't know just how much history there is. And just when you leave the city, I mean, driving in the city tests your soul to the limit. I get it. I wrote it like I get it. But when you leave, the nature, the outlying stuff you have access to in that part of Texas is magnificent because you can get to more or less anything. You have virtually every terrestrial environment smushed together there. It's I mean, I could rhapsodize about that, but
Right.
I just look like shit and burnt orange. I do yellow and burnt orange. I look like I have an iron deficiency, and it's always broken my heart. I mean, I went to a school in the UAA. I mean, I like
It
FAU.
clashes.
No, I'm saying like it clashes. No, I look horrendous in that color. I look awful. Like, I don't know, like just everyone's skin tone like favors something else. I had a shirt about your color, like a yellow one that I got at like some comic store because of my last name, and it said Richie Rich, and it had this cool like applique on it. But because it was yellow, like I looked unwell. I looked deeply, deeply unwell. I mean, I'm not saying I'm winning any beauty contest, but that one we're
But
concerned about your blood levels, my G. Like you don't look well.
it's important to be aware of what colors work best on you, you know.
Especially when you live a lifetime in front of camera. Like some people are like, oh wow, Adam Richman, you look the same, more salt in the beard and this, that, and the third, and maybe your cheeks a little chubby or whatever. And they're true. I don't know how I can't lose this shit, but whatever. But yeah, I mean, then other people like, you look sad, tired, and old. You. Thank you. And I deserve that because I'm telling you that these are good chicken wings.
Was that your niece that said that?
If only. No, because then I could take it from family. And this is the truth. They did like some subway signs for one of my shows, and I still regret not actually seeing it. My mom wanted to take us one night. I was like, nah, I should have gone. Ma, you were right. But the thing is, my boys from Brooklyn, they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, taking these pictures for this thing. And my buddy Pete, who I grew up with in Brooklyn, and this is a deeply educated man from Columbia Business who runs a hedge fund. He's like, let me tell you something. If I see your face on the side of a bus or a subway station, I'm drawing a giant dick right on your forehead. And I hugged him and I said, you know what? Like, because the truth is, and that's your friends that are always going to keep you honest, and your friends that are always going to tell you the truth and never let you get too big for your britches. And also, I comforted myself with the fact that if I ever see myself with a giant dick on my forehead, I'd be like, it's Pete.
Right. No, that's awesome. How long, have you been behind the camera, or so to speak? Like, I mean, like in the spotlight, like at least a decade, yeah?
Man vs. Food started December of 2008. And my move
Okay.
to History Channel was about 4 years ago. And it's been outstanding. I really,
mean,
because I was a History Channel junkie,
yeah.
and it was one of those. I mean, yeah, look, Travel Channel, I will always, love, respect, be grateful for. Obviously, there's nothing without Man versus Food. There's nothing without that. And that was Pat Young and Matt Butler and Charlie Parsons taking a flyer on tomato ketchup. Like, I found out years later, the show was actually intended for the guy who hosted Human Weapon, I think it was called. But I worked with them. I've obviously done plenty of shows with Food Network, and they've always been very generous as far as I go. But yeah, moved to History like 4 years ago. And I've been also very fortunate. Man vs. Food is in 38 countries. So I've been able to do shows exclusively in England. I'm a big soccer guy. People know that. I mean, you see, I got Clint Dempsey here, I got Zidane right here. In addition to all the crap you can't see behind the camera. And I had a show about food and football all over the world with Facebook Watch and Copa 90, and did a show on ITV. So yeah, I've been doing a bunch of stuff, but like history is it's just crazy. It's crazy to like see my face on television and then see that yellow and red H come up. I'm like, wait, what? Like, because like, watching like a videotape of some stupid shit I did with my friends, or like a video that I made that I look so smart, you know what I mean? Versus
Yeah,
like,
but
this is professional. Got it.
you look really happy, I think. When I'm
Thank you.
watching clips of what you're doing now, or on the Food That
Thank
Built
you.
America, it seems so, well, it's so entertaining, right? Like
What a nice
there's
thing
so
to say,
much to
man. Thank
explore.
you.
Well, you're welcome. But it seems like you're genuinely interested in it, right? Like
I am
it's
such a dork for it. And literally people have my family and my friends were like, someone will come up and say something, and then it's like, don't get them started. And because one thing leads to another, right? Like how, like you start, this is a true conversation that occurred between me and the man who's in your hotel room telling you what movies there are, the very handsome and very generous Mario Lopez. I got to film a couple segments with Access Hollywood recently, and he and Kit are delightful, like no bullshit, delightful people. And um he was like, yeah, we didn't have he said he had his first Pop-Tart recently because they couldn't really afford them in his house growing up. Toasters, people forget, were extraordinarily expensive. We take toasters for granted. For us, the newest invention for the house is more or less like the air fryer. You know, now people are selling sous vide machines Target. It doesn't make sense. But
Right.
you know, like immersion cookers at Target, what are you talking about? But then you know, to speak to people, then it's like, yeah, well, bread wasn't originally sliced, and bread wasn't even originally white, and it wasn't originally found in a supermarket, right? Like you'd go to a provisions place, you'd fill out a slip, and you'd hand it to a grocer who would fill your order. If you wanted fish, you go to fish market. You wanted cheese, you go to a dairy. You want yogurt, you go to a dairy. You wanted to go to meat, you gotta go to a butcher. The idea of bringing it all in one place was an invention, and that's truthfully, like, that's why maybe I'm so happy, because I get to get a better appreciation of the edible world around me, and I live and work in the food space, and like, to be fair, that was it. Like with Mario and Kit, to be like, it started talking about Pop-Tarts and toasters, and then Eggo waffles, and he said, but why is it called Eggo? I don't get it. And I was like, the interesting thing was, the guy originally did not have an egg business. He had this thing that was like a mayonnaise, and he had shortening and things that were egg fortified, and he called his waffle the Froffle. But Froffle is a goddamn stupid ass name. And normally waffles were only, you had to have a waffle iron. So you had to make batter and make a mess and clean this thing. And you had to have this massive electrical implement that, was for one purpose and one purpose only. And it
Right.
took up place. Suddenly a toaster could produce breakfast. And so then the conversation went from there to peanut butter, and then so you start with the bread, and then suddenly you're talking about like, and also, did you happen to know that one of the guys who created Peter Pan, but he got screwed over by his partners and the government, he pivoted and created Skippy. Same
Oh
person.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Or the fact that Jif got taken to Congress because they don't actually contain enough, what's the word, peanuts in their peanut butter. It's
No.
so much, yeah. So there's a difference between, that's the one thing that I also really dig, is really understanding some of these buzzwords and understanding how new they are. So hydrogenation, we
Oh
always
yeah.
hear the bad things about hydrogenated fats, but by the addition of this hydrogen, it allows oils to stay at a cream sort of state at room temperature, but it's just not great for us. And so, you have a fully hydrogenated product like a peanut butter, where you can assimilate. The idea is it's a homogenizing process. So it's a way of assimilating the peanut oil into the peanut grit, and that's why you get that cream. So there's two different ways. There's partially hydrogenated and fully hydrogenated oils. And Jif is delicious because it's got sugar and it's fully hydrogenated, like margarine. It's oil, but hydrogenated to remain in that way at that temperature. And so now they found different ways of holding fats at that temperature, at that state longer. But it's kind of a crazy thing. And this season on Food That Built America, like, I dig that we actually get a little bit to 30,000 feet, like the shopping cart. People take that shit for granted all the time. And I'm one of those people, bro. I'm not any like some vaunted like scholar. And when they kind of said, and that's what I love what History Channel does. And I don't know how they handle other people, but they know I am a research dork. And I actually know a lot of this shit already. But they go, so we want to cover the supermarket. We're going to cover the supermarket, the non-centralized supermarket. So remember, supermarkets used to be in the center of town. The idea of a market with a huge parking lot and a massive market, we owe that to King Cullen and these incredible because that never would have existed. They were always in town. This idea of a massive clearinghouse where you could get stationery and you could get housewares and you could get plates and garbage bags and bread. And Kroger put a bakery in his grocery store. And the guy
Okay.
from Piggly Wiggly took a basket and welded it to part of a rolling chair, and he couldn't get people to do it. Men felt it was effeminate, and moms who had been tired of pushing around a carriage didn't want to push around another fucking basket. So what he did was he hired models to walk around the store, male and female models, to sexy it up. And he put ads like, look at the convenience you have. Suddenly having it. And there's all this espionage with the kid who built the nesting carts where one goes inside the other, because they used to have to be disassembled at night and this whole thing.
Oh,
And it was
wow.
just, and even the UPC code, like we take that for granted. But again, that gave us the power of self-checkout and expedited standard checkout, because normally it would be, again, our generation really knows nothing about this. It had been, get your groceries, you go to the register, the grocer's register has, the cashier has a booklet, and then
Mhm.
look up. There may be a scale, limes are this, enter it. Now they scan it. And it was all created by someone who had been a Boy Scout and loved the Morse code. And he was in a beach, it was in Miami Beach, and he was drawing dots and dashes in the sand. And then he suddenly raked his fingers down, and the bars became thick lines, and the
Yeah.
dots became thin lines. And he said, oh my God, it's a code that can be read from any direction.
That's cool.
And with the
Dang.
advent of laser, and the very first thing that was ever checked out with UPC was a pack of, I believe, Wrigley gum or Doublemint gum. And the idea was that it was so small. Like they tried a radial code, but those don't print. Something about printing a circle, they never print evenly, but printing a line always does. And so they showed that with mirrors and lasers, they didn't get hot. You could do it. You could expedite checkout. And it's so cool. Like, and now, yeah, I'm a total pain in the ass when I go out, because this season we got spirits. So we do Smirnoff, we do Cuervo, we do sporting goods, and people are like, why are sporting goods and food that built America? Wilson, Rawlings, all had ties to slaughterhouses.
Oh,
Slaughterhouses
wow.
have a deep abundance of leather.
Oh, yes. Okay, that makes sense. So has the spirits one aired? Because I mean, like I was doing a little like digging around and I heard you talk about like tequila. Like it's just like interesting. It's in the name, the food that built America.
Right,
And we're kind of young in the grand scheme of things.
without
And
question.
so like it was talking about like after prohibition, we got flooded with tequila. And I was like, oh, interesting. Like it's like a never ending, you know, you can keep going and going and going.
Well, I think that's the thing. Again, people are like, well, it's booze. What did it do? But you don't realize how, okay, so if I told you like the Moscow Mule, we've probably already had one, and it's a delicious combination. And for those of you who don't know, it's vodka, sometimes a bit of simple syrup, ginger beer, lime, often served in a copper
The
mug.
book.
So good.
Copper mug, delicious, refreshing. Here's the thing. You have a man trying to sell Smirnoff in the middle of the Cold War. He's trying to sell Russian spirit. Nobody wants it. No one knows anything about it. It doesn't have a clean association, right? So he's trying to mess around. He knows a guy who has a very famous bar in Hollywood that makes their own ginger beer, has a very good mixologist. The dude who owns this Hollywood guy, he's also recently married or dating or stooping this actress who's also heir to a copper fortune. She inherits all this copper mining and copper processing, knows no idea what she wants to do with it. This is an adjunct thing at this time because he goes to this place like, oh, let's do something with your ginger beer and this spirit. And they mess around with lime and this, that, and the other. If we could find a vessel to keep it cool. The thermos had been built. So the idea of a double walled like metal thing to insulate something makes sense to manufacturers and fabricators. What should it be made of? I know,
Ding,
copper.
ding.
And all of a sudden, all three of them see a profit, even the bartender, because he named the mule, right? So he licenses that. The guy with Smirnoff, the lady with the copper, and the guy with the ginger beer all profit. And what he started doing was he bought an Instamatic camera when it was brand new. He would go to the bars and he would take a picture of the bartender and go, "Oh my God," he said, I'll give you another one where you can pose. You can take that one home to your wife if you serve this drink. I said, "I'll give you one to put up on the wall if you hold the drink." And people were so excited to get a picture of themselves right away.
Right.
They did it, and he starts spreading the word. And I'm like, and it's crazy to know, like, the mob was bringing tequila in, prohibition ends, and you can't press a button to get whiskey. It takes a while to distill and age and process whiskey to make it into whiskey. But Cuervo just had bottles on deck. And the interesting thing was it was run by a woman at that time. She was the prescient mind behind it. And nobody expected her to be able to run. Sorry about that. No one expected her to be able to run a tequila distillery. So, like, that's the thing too. It's not just ultimately like about the foods or that which we consume, but it's also kind of about these people and the way the world changed. Like, you know, the Totino story and how she was so poor that she would wait until school ended. Rosalie, behind the woman behind the Totino and Gino's brand, and she was ultimately, I think, one of the first female food executives in the United States. But she used to wait till school ended, go back to her schoolyard to find orange peels and eat the leftover pulp from orange peels on the ground. And she went on to become this multimillionaire. So it ends up really being the story of our country through the prism of food. And like, here's a bunch of random food shit. But to be fair, the random food stuff you'll learn is extraordinarily cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you drink when you go out? What's your choice of drink?
Ooh, that is a great question. I guess it depends. Like, my friend Chef Chris O is a great Korean chef out in LA. So like out with him, tons of soju, probably like a beer like to chase. And then if we go out, there'll probably be tequila. I guess unless it's like a very, because I collect bourbon and I want to enjoy it. I like, before a meal, I'm a fan of like a Greyhound or a Paloma. Um, I generally try to keep, if it's like a long night, try to keep it to clear spirits if I can. So if I'm shooting anything, it's tequila. Drinking a spirit, it tends to be vodka. But I collect bourbon. I love whiskey. I do like Jameson, a shot of Jamie and some Guinness. I always have. I always will. Um, and like, I'm not like that much of a. I love, believe it or not, Yingling Light as I watch my girlish figure. I have that in the fridge, but I'm a Guinness whore. And then I got to film with Jim Cook for Adam Eats the 80s at Sam Adams. And not only is he a legend, but he gave me all kinds of these like rare Sam Adams that like I'm rationing in my fridge, and like the
Nice.
Utopias and these ones that are in these bottles with corks and stuff. So I really like that. I don't know what it is. I'm not, with the exception of a good ice cold martini, I'm not super big on straight up drinks. I like rocks. Always have, always will. Have y'all been to PDT in New York ever? It's a speakeasy that's hidden through a phone booth in East Side, Lower East Side.
Well, it's not, is it really that hidden? I mean,
Yeah, you
oh
go
my God,
into a
that's
hot dog
cool.
restaurant. You go in, you have to have a reservation, but you go into a hot dog restaurant. You go into the phone booth, pick up the phone,
No shit.
and then you go in. No parties at 4 or more, no standing, no whatever. And so they have an excellent cocktail menu. The mixologist is a guy that I actually know, and I'm not saying this to give him a dick flute solo. He's very talented. His name is Jeff Bell, and they have it's a bacon washed old fashioned, and they get rendered bacon fat from Benton's bacon, and I don't know if you know how to bacon wash a spirit, but basically you render bacon fat, you mix it with the spirit, you let it come to temperature, and the fat kind of comes through the spirit like a raft, and ultimately you chill it, and all the fat coalesces on top. You scrape it off, and then when the spirit comes back to temperature, it will have that flavor. And they do a
Oh.
bacon old fashioned with just one fat cube and a bit of orange rind, and it's the way to end the night there. But I love those places where you could talk to a mixologist and go, I don't know, I usually drink this, but you know what, I don't really like rum, and they usually love that. They're like, "Ooh, can I make you a rum drink you might like?" And
Right.
suddenly I'm trying stuff that I never had before. And I went to a bar called the Wolseley it's a restaurant. No, excuse me, it's called the Delaunay in London, and they made a Sazerac, but they made it with cognac, and that was so good. I felt things in my loins. Highly recommend it. If you're going to a good bar that can make a Sazerac and they're willing to make it with cognac, holy schmoly. I was like, the whole new world, Aladdin style. I was like, what is that?
Nice.
Well, what's funny, you mentioned the mule and you mentioned also the photo with the mule. And if you were here physically with us, when our guests leave, they go home with Ranch Rider Spirits, and Troy takes a picture and it prints out. And so it doesn't have to be whenever that was to still be kind of cool to get your picture made and have a cool drink to go home with, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it never loses its interest. But the Ranch Rider Spirits, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to try those guys, but those are our official beverage here on the podcast. And
What do they make exactly?
so
It's like
we've
no
got
sugar. Yeah.
no sugar, no shit. That's the
No
kind
sugar,
of
no shit.
But
yeah.
so
But
what
they're
is what kind of spirits do they make?
so they got ranch water. So you've got your tequila, your sparkling water, a little salt, little lime, and so that's their first beverage. But they came onto the scene and like they were flooded with all the like ranch waters and all that
I've
kind
seen
of like.
other ranch waters. Is that Cutwater does one, and
Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people do them now. So it's funny because when they came on the scene, all
Right.
these other people did too, but it's actually vodka and it's actually tequila. It's a real spirit. So you're not going to find it.
they sell
Well,
them
here
in
in
New York.
Texas,
I
yes,
think
they
I'm not-
probably do.
Yeah. They're
We would have to
expanding
look
pretty
at that.
rapidly right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure you could find some. But if we exchange pickles, we'll send you some.
Yeah, we could
Ranch
see. Yeah,
Riders.
we could send you some.
That sounds
Yeah, and they.
super pervy, and I love it.
Yeah, rewind that.
Remember, when you exchange pickles with someone, you exchange pickles with everyone they've ever exchanged pickles with before.
That's for your
That's-
life. That's a life.
Little tip for Uncle Adam. There you go.
That's going on.
Never get
That's
rid
going
of
on
it.
a T-shirt.
Looking out for you, fellas. But it's Ranch Rider. I will look them up for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, Ranch
And
Riders
shout
are
out to
great.
them. They just printed their 10 millionth can.
Yes.
So pretty cool. Yeah, great flavor stuff. Here in Texas, we can't get them at a regular grocery store because we still sell all our liquor in liquor stores here. So we don't have that
Right.
convenience there, but yeah, you can get them in any liquor store here in Texas. So
Where was the place?
Awesome.
Where was I? Was it in Ohio where there's certain beer at like 7-Eleven that is a certain ABV, but like the stuff that's higher ABV, it has to be warm. So you can't drink it there. You have to take it home.
I'll
I'm
drink a
trying to
warm
remember
beer.
which
That's
state it was
crazy.
Well,
Yeah.
you're a brave man. One warm beer is like swallowing like 12 bagels to me.
Oh, well, the really high ABV beers, like some
Mhm.
of those are actually good warm. It's almost like a stout, not so bad warm.
I guess I can
sometimes.
see that. Like I've cooked with stout, like braising short ribs with Guinness and like oyster sauce
Yeah,
is fire. Like I'm with that. And like
that
people
sounds
use like
delicious.
it's really good. What you do is you get a short rib, put it on a bed of onions, salt, like kosher salt, black pepper, like at room temperature. Don't do it ice cold. Let it sit, but like fresh cracked pepper, let it rest. Like you can use yellow onion or whatever. That shallots, garlic on the bed underneath it. Throw in some aromatics, some herbs, and then my combination I like is a Guinness, oyster sauce, splash or two of black coffee,
Mhm.
and then
Oof, I'm
just
liking this.
let
Yeah.
that braise down. And then when the braising liquid's getting really jammy, I could even sometimes I'll put in like sliced sweet potatoes or carrots and run some honey over that, and then I'll keep braising and let that caramelize, and all that shit is just icky gooey fantasticness. And the thing is, sometimes the onions are just, you sacrifice them to just keep the short, because then you can take the short rib out if you really want to sear it, or it could just be full of fall apart tender. And you could even take all those veggies if you don't want to eat them and blend them and make a sick root vegetable mash or whatever.
Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was always using just red wine for short ribs. So I like
So
that little
good.
conversation there.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, like again, and there's a great place I went to in Portland, Maine that was called Street and Company. And I really like the fact that they have as an ethos, I think it like said on their website, less is more, preparation maintains essence, olive oil, shallot, salt, flame, you know what I mean? That there's a kind of elemental nature of it. And I remember going somewhere in the Philippines and the guy was like getting nervous right before we filmed. And like the guy's dish was fucking fantastic. There's a type of Filipino dish called salpicao, and he was making it with ostrich and like slivered garlic, and he would braise it in milk. And he was like, I don't know if our stuff is like fancy enough for television. And I was like, dude, you're like next. Cause I've been to places, I was in Vietnam and there was a place that did these shrimp with just steaming them in coconut water, and that's it. And it was just the most exquisite with just a little bit of like kaffir lime leaf in the water. And it was just the most fragrant, perfect thing. You didn't need to add all the stuff to it. You go to Argentina, it's a good cut of steak. It's cooked well, salt, really good olive oil, really good roasted vegetables, and chefs with very good temperature control. So you could do your short ribs realistically with red wine or with just their natural juices, I'm sure. I mean, it's
Sure,
always
sure.
more fun to braise the fuck out of those things, though, because
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
"Ugh." And then you could use them when they're done to fill anything from ravioli to egg rolls. Have you ever done that? Like you mix it with like ricotta and then you can pipe it into something, or even make like enchiladas with it.
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
tacos with leftover short ribs if there ever is any. Just because it's so easy just to wrap anything in the world in a tortilla and just throw it in your mouth.
Yeah, I do a lot of empanadas like that. Anything left over, I'm like, let's make some empanadas out of it, you know?
Sorry that this is turning into ASMR for so many of your listeners. They're like,
Yeah.
drink my iced tea and crunch through the ice like an asshole. I'm so sorry.
No,
I couldn't hear anything.
We have
yeah,
the
I
ice
can't.
filter on. You're good, dude. You're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
What is
The,
one thing that people don't do in Austin that you wish they would when they come?
well, so
Use
Troy,
turning signals.
Wait, what was that?
yours?
I said use turning signals.
No, that's what they don't do that you would that you wish they would. All right, fair enough. I'll take I mean, I do, but because I'm an erotic Jew, and it's like, no, I used my signal. I got pulled over today for flipping a guy off that turned
Did
out
you
to be
really?
unmarked. It was an unmarked cop car. Yeah, I was trying to get to a doctor's appointment, and this guy, right? I signaled to go into the right lane. He did not. I looked at him. I didn't even do anything, and he goes like this. Though he goes like that. Like what do you want? Like that in his mirror. So I flip him the bird, and then I admit, and I don't know if this was the bridge too far. I gave him the jerk off and the fling my jizz at you hand, despite
Gotta
what my
love
friend
that.
calls the Spider-Man. So it was the bird followed by a jerk splat, like it was a good Peter Parker, like a whap. The next thing I know, there was a honk, and then I saw the cherries and berries in his
Oh my God.
motherfucker. So I looked immediately, I'm sober as a judge, pull over, I looked at my speed. I never broke the speed limit. And he gets over, and I'm like, I'm heading to a doctor's appointment. You cut me off. You waved at me. I gave you the finger. You're giving this could have gone any number of ways. Someone else could have gotten out of their car, had a weapon, had a da. And I was like, but I wouldn't have pulled over if you weren't an officer of the law. Have I broken
Right,
the law?
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
been
Wait,
out of there,
but
man.
did you
He said,
get? Did
no,
that
I
happen
didn't get
because
it.
the ego? Yeah, like
Yeah, that was it. He said,
Oh
calm
my
down. I
God.
was like, can I go?
right.
He's like,
No.
I wasn't gonna
Right.
pull you over until you jizzed on me, man. And then that really
But even
No.
though he just felt some kind of way about getting the finger, and he
Yeah,
wanted to
no.
sit there and just sit there and go, no, I have the power. And the thing is, if I didn't genuinely have a doctor's appointment, then I would have honestly said, may I have your badge number? If he
All
said,
that,
well, I'd
yeah.
say I'd like to know that you pulled me over because I'd like to see the statute that says you know, thou shalt not flip a bird to a guy who looks like Paul Blart. Now, I got very lucky that Beefsteak Charlie let me go. But Beefsteak Charlie, for those of you who only knew a world with the internet, was a restaurant that served you beer, wine, sangria with steak and unlimited popcorn shrimp. Are you guys familiar with this? Probably it may have been, I think it was Chicago and All Points East. And it was a guy who had the middle part like the dude on the Pringles can. And he had the little curly silent movie mustache. And he wore a vest and he had the bartender armbands. And welcome to Beefsteak Charlie's. That's the only way I learned about sangria in Brooklyn, which is really tragic because we had a huge Latin community. But still, yeah. By the way,
need to bring that back.
Oh yeah, I've seen that commercial before.
You have seen it?
Yeah, I've seen the commercial. Yeah.
If I could make a recommendation for you guys to watch on YouTube, if you're like, I want to take a tour inside Adam Richman's brain and the references he's made for the past 20 years, there is a collection of commercials that are from the New York area, specifically in the 70s and 80s. I highly recommend beautiful Mount Airy Lodge. Excuse me, a Crazy Eddie, of course, their prices are insane. Action Park, Raceway Park. Oh my word. The Children's Aid Society. Let me tell you, I actually low key. So I started DJing right before the pandemic. I did my first gig in Miami and then
nice.
The world went to shit. So I did a few through IG and then IG stopped it unless only Questlove and D Nice were allowed to DJ. No one else can play music. But I really fell in love with it. And I play quite a bit of music. The guitars are I just moved into this place, but the guitars are in the corner of the room.
Oh, sweet.
So like I've been playing, music for a hot minute. I think I'm gonna have to take that Children's Aid Society and do some SoundCloud shit to it. I'm telling you, this song is a bop. The Children's Aid Society. Ooh, molto bene. I'm
Nice.
such an ass.
It's a banger.
No, honestly, other than using turn
Oh no,
signals,
I
ask
got
you
something
because you
for
guys
you.
are great champions of a city that I love. In advance of this, you guys are very low key about it. Like you guys are the opposite of like someone said, like if someone were a vegan and did CrossFit, which one would they tell you about first? And like in Austin, very much it's like I like Gary Clark before he was like. I used to see him all the time on 6th Street. Like you don't even know. Like you don't even know. But
I mean,
like those guys exist. Those guys exist. I only have 3 tattoos, so I'm like a choir boy, And so I'm asking you, what is something? Is it something that people should eat, or place that they should go, or a show that they should watch?
It's so hard to recommend like a place to eat and you can do that right all day long, and we could obviously come up with a list, but I think, and there's something I want to ask you about if you've done when you're here.
What's that?
Is Buc-ee's.
I've never done a Buc-ee's.
Well, okay, Troy, maybe this will land us our sponsorship. No, we love Buc-ee's, and Buc-ee's is something that I would strongly urge you to look into.
What is it?
And it's a gas station. So
okay,
and it was built on the idea that when you're traveling and you need to hit the head, they're all dirty and nasty. So Buc-ee's is immaculate, and you can eat off the floor in any Buc-ee's you go to, and it's true. And so not beyond it's taken off from just that you can take a nice clean dump or urinate, to the fact that they have awesome snacks and they have barbecue there, and it's
really
it's like
a circle of life. Can I take the barbecue into the bathroom and just
probably could.
totally
You could
human centipede that shit? No, I'm just saying like eat and like Phil whilst evacuating. It's just sort of like it's the circle.
I mean, I'm sure somebody, if they decided to just live at Buc-ee's, could do very well. Human centipede action.
So there's multiple Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there are. So, and it's like, Troy, I don't know like how good of a recommendation this is, but it's so cool, and people don't know, and you gotta go. I mean,
Yeah, if you come down to go to like if you would go on a floating experience here, hit Bucky's before you go floating. You know, it's a great world. Get some gear. You can even get like random pool floaties if you want to, like, you know, a
What's the
choppy
best thing
sandwich.
to float? What's the best thing to float? I saw those big black tubes, no?
Yeah, that's usually it. The black
And then
tubes.
you
Yeah.
tie them all together, right? Like a giant
Yeah.
flotilla. Isn't that
Yeah.
the
And then you have your
idea?
cooler. And
In
I
one
mean,
of
you
them, right?
know, I mean, growing up in college, maybe we had like a beer bong and a gravity bong along with us on
And
the trip.
but is a
So
raft like a bitch made move? Like you have to be in a tube? Like if you're in an
no,
actual raft, are you like, you're okay, you're good?
it really depends on the water level if they do the rafts, because it needs to be a little bit higher. But like when we would go in college, we would do a raft and there'd be like 10 tubes with a raft.
Yeah,
We yeah. And so
put all the
like, yeah, it was
stuff in the
kind of back and
raft.
forth. Yeah, exactly. You'd go hang out by yourself a little bit, but like, yeah, tubing is one of the best things to do in the like this area in New Braunfels in the hill country. It's like just amazing. So
I mean,
Yeah.
that was something big. Like, I have a few moments. Like, I'm not won an Emmy. I don't know if I'll ever will. It'd be cool to do, but like, we'll see. And I have my things from like that I won. There's like the awards in the Cable Fax Awards, and I copped those. But like, I will tell you this, man. Like getting named to the Brooklyn Jewish Hall of Fame, and my mom being able to see that with like the rabbi who performed my bar mitzvah. He and I were inducted the same year,
That's
but
awesome.
being able to write the foreword to the Salt Lick book
Oh yeah.
was huge, because the truth of the matter is I share zero cultural touchstone with Scott Roberts, with people from everywhere from Fredericksburg to where we were in Driftwood to where is Kreitz is in what town? Kreitz Market.
that's in Lockhart.
Lockhart. That's
Lockhart.
right.
Yeah.
And I know that they're affiliated with Hill Country here in New York. And what I'm saying is, when you respect an art form like I do barbecue, and where you've been able to champion it and like celebrate people that are legends within that space, from Charlie Virgos in Memphis to Myron Mixon to Ed Mitchell to whomever, Buddy Merritt at Cabot in Cabot at Mean Pig Barbecue, and JR and La Cienega JRs and so on, that I think that to have a place with like the reputation and the quality of Salt Lick go, you know what? We're going to get a Brooklyn Jew to write, like, because we feel he gets it. That's like to me, such an honor. Like, and I still haven't been to Franklin's. I still haven't been to La Barbecue. I know that my boy Warren G is the biggest fan of La Barbecue.
Yeah.
Have you
It's
been? I'm
good.
sure you gentlemen have been to both. Is the line at Franklin's worth it? Is the juice worth the squeeze?
I would say, because it can like waste the day for you, because you wait in line and then you eat a pound of barbecue and drink some beers and your day is over.
But that's a good
So
fucking day. But
Yeah.
that's a
No,
good
that's a
fucking
good day.
day.
that's a good day.
Yeah.
So if you have time to, like, you know, in the city, and you do have time to do that for a full day, plan that for
Yeah.
one day. If not, you can do the to-go orders and it's just as good. You don't get the full experience, but there's a lot of people to do like barbecue tours where they might hit like 3 or 4 barbecue restaurants in one day.
Mhm.
So you don't really have time to wait that long if you're going to certain joints around town. But the barbecue game is just insane here. There's just so much.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it's very strong right now. And to tie in, because you keep like you mentioning some of these things like the Salt Lick, that's amazing. And that's like, it's very cliche to recommend going to the Salt Lick because it's like such a well-known place, and that's like the place you would say. But the reason I always want people to go somewhere like that is because half of what makes Austin so incredible is driving south into the hill country, because it's not just the city and the river and the nightlife that's happening there. It's the beautiful hill country, and Salt Lick gives you all of that. You get to go see this wonderful scenery. They have a vineyard there. You know, you can pick up the book. You know, you can have a wonderful bite to eat out. So it's like, and that's like, yeah, it's, of course, everybody hears the Salt Lick, but like, yeah, go somewhere like the Salt Lick because it's off the beaten path, so to speak.
I also think they do things in a very unique way. And also people forget, like, Scott is half Okinawan. It's M. Scott Roberts. The M is Mossad. That is his name. And so his whole joke is, My mom's Okinawa and my dad's from Texas. That's why I look how I look and talk how I talk. And his whole thing is they use like wet pecan shells to keep the fire at bay, great smoke, but then they put the sausage on top. So that drips down and that hits the fire, sending up smoke. And their turkey, I mean, just it's so good. Now, granted, again, I've not eaten at these other places, and I'm not saying, and this is the other thing, right? Like, I'm a competitive son of a bitch, but I genuinely hope all of y'all make it. I hope everyone listening to this makes it. I'm not trying to like outmaneuver any of y'all. Like, that's the issue. Like, I just think high tides float all boats. And like, if you
Well,
can,
that's a
you
very
know,
welcoming thing in Austin also, is that like, that's, there's all these cool things, but like everybody is supportive of everybody here.
that's
So
beautiful. That's a
that's
really
one
beautiful thing.
thing that really sticks out. When people start a new, they start a new endeavor, everybody's going to back them. Nobody's like,
Yeah.
it's not like cutthroat like you would expect. Like,
Yeah.
you
No, I
know,
mean, that was the thing I loved. I did a thing, and I'm always in London because I'm an Anglophile. I sponsor a soccer team. I'm a shareholder in another soccer team and shit. And I love it there. I just love it there. Love it, love it, love it. I was living there when the pandemic broke out, actually, in Camden. But I had done something with a sauce company up in Manchester. Man, what a great city. What a great, vibrant food community. We're like
New
young
Hampshire.
Manchester in no, I beg your pardon. No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Manchester, England, England.
Okay.
But yeah, but I was just drawing the parallel because London can be ferocious in terms of cost, ferocious in terms of
Oh, yeah.
competition, snobbery, exclusivity, racial bias, neighborhood access, and so on. But Manchester, I guess maybe because of both, it's the gloomy north. It's up north, isn't it? It's it's different. It's up north. That would hang in that would day good. That it's like
You got
very,
that.
very well. That's the Jamie Tart accent from Ted Lasso is a Mancunian one. It's like it's called empathy. Like that sort of. There was a great commercial they did for ESPN FC where they were comparing fans of United and Manchester City. And they're basically these guys have the exact same life, but they're like, I'd hate to think what life would be like if I were born a red. I'd hate to think like what it would be if I were born a blue. And they're like the same shit. They're like, wouldn't have such a fit bird. And they're like, they're on the bus with the same girl. They're like, wouldn't have such a fit bird. And then they're both like, my name's Becky. But in Manchester, though, I met like a bunch of like young kids that had started microbreweries in their college dorm and really made something of themselves and got a space and got placement at different restaurants. How there's a place, gentlemen, I wish this for your taste buds. There's a place called Northern Soul Grilled Cheese. And first of all, run by the loveliest human ever. But do you know, are you guys, I mean, you're in the music city of our nation, but Northern Soul, there's a bunch of like Motown era artists that never made it here, and they were all released in England, and they had massive success there. And the music itself is known as Northern Soul, and that's all they play. And they actually formulated, their bread to have virtually no air bubbles in it. And it's like the smoothest thing. And they use this cheese blend and they use all local products. This is a long-winded way of saying that the way I love Austin for its sense of community and warmth and genuineness, I so too found in Manchester.
Oh, cool.
And and there's crazy places too. I won't say who this one restaurant owner was like, oh, I love you. So glad you're here. You want some cocaine? I'm good, bro. Never had it, never will. I'm like 7-Up with that shit. I'm like, but it was just like, wow, I'm good.
Right. That's
God
a
bless.
forward owner, right?
But that's it's also like this familiar thing. I mean, ultimately, like, I don't know, isn't that the best thing? Like, so for example, I remember when I came back to film at Casino El Camino, there had been a chef named Puppy when I was there, and he was gone. And the chef at the time was, I think, in a band, but he had massive
Zach
spikes
Volta.
From his hair. Okay, so I forget his name.
Starving Wolves.
What's his name?
Zach Volta.
Of
And his
Starving
band is called
Wolves.
Starving Wolves. What kind of
Yep.
music do they play?
It's
Punk
like
rock.
punk rock, yeah, punk rock hardcore maybe or something like hard punk kind of, I would say. Like, yeah, it's good. It's really awesome. The lead singer is David Rodriguez, who's a buddy of mine too. He's also lead singer of the Casualties. But yeah, super good, super nice crew, super cool guys.
Is it among the up and coming musician set? I wonder, is it cutthroat or is it supportive? Like, is it like Nashville, which I heard can be very, very, very cutthroat? I'm sure that it varies from person to person and place to place. But I
No,
just
that's an interesting. I have a former chef who started. He used to be a luthier. Now he's working at Austin Guitar House, and he's really plugged in the community. And I mean, Troy's wife is in a band, the Psychedelic Shark, and I mean, it would be very interesting to almost. I think I would need to start a pod and get bands in and learn more to answer that, because I don't necessarily know. I play guitar and stuff, but I'm not out there playing in bands and stuff.
I
Like
think
Gary, go
go
ahead.
ahead, please. No, please. You're saying like Gary Clark?
Yeah, well, like, he came up and I just don't know what it was like for him. Like, is it like opening a food truck where everybody's gonna come check it out and support it and give you tips and tricks, or are they like, trying to bury you because they want to get noticed first? I don't know.
I mean, the thing that's kind of awesome is I feel you used to hear all these stories about like how bands would form on the Sunset Strip, how Kiss started out of like a magazine ad. But I always felt in Austin, especially around South by, where you could see like every little bookstore down every little alleyway becomes a venue, right? To some
Yeah.
extent, like they take like a giant construction spool. It's the way I felt about Spoleto in Charleston. Like, giant construction spool, they throw fabric over it, it becomes a stage. They have two lights, they have PA system, couple mics, here you go. And I think that there's something wildly beautiful about the ability to discover art in a city. And Austin has been one of those places I've truly been able to. And I'm not just saying like, because people could say, well, you could walk around the Wynwood Walls in Miami, and that's very, very true. But I've never walked around Miami personally and seen random dance performances or random like not buskers. I'm talking about like a proper performance, whereas all over New York, all over Austin, to an extent New Orleans, but that
New
you can
Orleans, yeah.
find certain things where it's a true performance, not like buskers with like their trumpet case open playing stuff, but you can walk and then suddenly there's like a random choir singing in one of those squares, or a trio playing at an art gallery or on a pier somewhere. And I think it's just a very, very special thing when you have a city that's so creative and so accepting, and that suburbia is as engaged with that which goes on in the city. Like Round Rock, 45 minutes out could easily be detached, and then to see people make that commute and you go there and it's vibrant and people are still creating. I mean,
Oh yeah.
God, I crave those donuts. Like Tyrone
Oh,
Withers. Oh, here's something you might not know about me. Yo, listen, I smoke Round Rock donut.
yeah,
Those are eggy,
yeah.
magnificent sons of bitches. Because I low key want to. I mean, can we just save it and we'll put it out here first? I want to, and you know what? I will fly to Austin so we can make it together. Dead ass. I want to make a bread pudding using Round
Oof,
Rock donuts. I've
yeah.
always wanted to do it. I said those would be,
Yeah.
if you did like a good, like, not like some nasty peppery overpriced bullshit like Pappy. To me, I'm not a Pappy fan, but some of those good warm bourbons, some of those Blantons, or and get a few of Basil Hayden and make a nice cinnamon vanilla bourbon bread pudding with Round Rock donuts. And
Oh, yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
I'd like to do it with, they had some of those awesome jalapeno cheese sausages that they would wrap in dough. But even if you could make you
Kolaches.
do it,
Yeah.
well, oh my God, I went to God, what was the place on Secret East that we went to where they did the kolache? Oh God, it's right downtown. Oh man, is it called Underdog or something?
Um,
I think they have
Clutchy spot?
or Batch or
Batch is newer.
Oh, I have to
there's-
see. It's the place I went to on Secret Eats. Oh my God, I am so sorry to the owner if he ever hears this. Oh my gosh.
We'll tag it in a post if we
Oh,
remember it.
thank you. I want to say, I think his name is Matt. And again, I'm sorry if that's not right. But it's downtown and they had all kinds of delicious gourmet hot dogs. And they had like like really good comfort stuff, a larger
Was it-
venue.
Frank.
Yes. Yes. And it's downtownish.
Frank?
Yeah. It's not there anymore, but yeah.
Is
I'm
Moonshine
familiar
still
with-
there?
Moonshine, I believe, is still there. Yeah.
Moonshine was in my first book. Haas was the chef, and their peanut butter pie or peanut butter cheesecake, top 5 desserts, maybe worldwide, definitely nationwide. And they used to have the deviled crab backs. Those things were with the Tabasco butter. Those things went crazy.
Yeah,
is-
Moonshine's a spot.
So, and it's also that that building is a deeply historic building. It's one of the original Sunday houses where like people from farms could come in and they would offload their goods to sell and they'd sleep up top, either in their wagon or sleep up on the Sunday, and then they'd come home. And it was really a very fascinating thing. And it's a really the way, I mean, I don't know. I just love it. And I love being the dickhead that when I take someone there for the first time, I get to go, it's pronounced Guadalupe. Brazos.
Well, you've got it down. I mean,
I'm
you've
such a
got a
dick.
lot of tips and tricks here. The
No,
Round Rock Donuts.
no, mine are limited. That's why you guys have to be my sensei. I'll be out there
Yeah.
sanding your floor and waxing the cars and learning the ways. Because honestly, it's a place that I'm not ruling out living. I'm
Do it.
renting where I am now. My building in Brooklyn had gotten sold and been through some really, like as I'm sure most people have in the past couple of years, some extremely dark times personally. And just it's time for a change. And I think, a move is sometimes a very good way to, and like I say, the move to History Channel was just this beautiful new chapter. And like I was very blessed because it started with season 1 of Food That Built America, and they took a flyer on me, and all of a sudden I'm hosting Modern Marvels, like a show that like I would sit there and binge. Like I remember my roommates and I in college, just like my roommate Seth Linder would be crushing 2 tuna sandwiches and potato skins. Seth, I'm not bullshitting you, with his awesome dog Zeus. And we'd be sitting there and I would eat some pasta. I remember, God, and you're sitting there watching something about this earth drill, like this pneumatic drill, something that if it came up in your science class, you couldn't give 2 tugs of a dead dog's dick. And then you're like, modern.
Right.
And suddenly it's Modern Marvels with Adam Richman, which I was, so you know what I mean? And doing these shows and doing Fast History and doing Adam Eats the 80s. And it sort of shows like this transition period. The reason I say it is like Austin, every time I go there, I leave with a smile. And it's nothing to do. People be like, well, if I went out and I gallivant, it's not Vegas. And that's, I think, the misconception, because people see people partying, at South by or going out in the Dirty Six or whatever. But like,
Right.
for me, it's just, there's a kind of, I find Austin very much like Charleston in that it's one of those cities that when I get there, it so has me in its thrall, like in its hold, in its spell, that locals laugh at how like I even I'm sure people will hear me saying what I'm saying now, be like, relax. But it's the truth. I can't articulate it. There's just a vibe. Like I've walked past random shows in people's garages in neighborhoods I parked in and just sort of sit at the end of the driveway, and people are like, come on, you want to watch? You want a beer? Don't know, literally, pardon my expression, don't know me from Adam. But just, again, I had an ex that lived in Houston. Her brother lived in Austin. We parked in whatever neighborhood he lived in. And I remember I felt comfortable in that neighborhood. And I got exploring there one other time. And like I say, just some people, I guess their friends were doing a show in the garage and then, and that's this vibe. It's just a really magical place, man. I hope it becomes more affordable, but I also hope for your sake it doesn't, so it keeps it the way y'all are happy when people like me start moving in going, I'm gonna open the Jewish deli.
That would be awesome.
Please do it. We need more Jewish delis.
Is there one already in Austin? Is there a Jewish deli?
Not one that I could think of. There's places that do some bagels and kind of do like some small setup, but not like a
But
traditional
like
Jewish.
corned beef, pastrami, that kind of shit. Is there anything like
They
that in
have
Austin?
people that do like specials and stuff like that. Like some of the barbecue spots will do that. But like
there's no
like
place to
straight
get,
deli
like,
spot.
No, like rye and corned beef and pastrami. There's nothing like that.
Like there's some smaller shops, but nothing that's like true deli, like New York deli style.
Oh shit, we might have just dropped a bomb.
There may be some in the future.
Well, no, that would be very welcomed. I mean, that would, and I think that would do very well here.
But like, if I like, just call it Jew owned and just roll the dice. Just see how it does.
Jew owned.
Just call Jew hungry.
Jew hungry.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that.
You want to eat?
Yeah,
do you want to eat?
It's funny. The truth is, I actually, my friend Kate Burr and I were starting to film food about like a little tiny series about sort of quote unquote Jewish foods. But the thing is, here's the thing, right? I tell everybody, anybody can make a food show that's a hit in New York, Chicago, Austin, or LA, but the real hit shows hit in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They hit in Amarillo. They hit in the communities that may not be seen as cosmopolitan, but have a beautifully diverse populace. But if you only play to the big cities and you miss and disrespect the heartland, you're fucked. So that's why I don't want to do, like, if you do a show about like quote unquote Jewish dishes, the Jewish people like, so what? But if you do one that non-Jewish, non-white, non-whatever people, non-American people can watch, then you have something. And so we were like talking about doing shows like where it's about the vegetables or about poultry and not about Hanukkah. It's, it's its own thing. So I don't know. I'm now thinking like Shalom Y'all might be that might be the oh my God. Oh my God. I'm literally
write it down.
writing it down right now, and I am going to okay, we have a time date stamp. It is 5:15. Okay, we got it right here. Oh, snap, boys.
Nice. All right.
It's gonna be called, what do you think about the Oive Corral?
The Oive Corral.
No.
It's pretty fucking terrible. But I think that if I do like a Jewish deli, oh my gosh, what neighborhood should I do it in if I were to do it in Austin? If I were to do a Jewish deli in Austin, what is there a Jewish neighborhood in Austin?
Yeah.
What neighborhood is it?
I think that's the Jewish neighborhoods off of Windsor, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of in that area, kind of off of Mopac in that kind of northwest area. There's a whole
that would be good. If that's where that's at, that would be good setup over there. I selfishly always just say set it up south, but
what area south? What area south should I be in?
Oh, I'm like North San Antonio south. No, I'm at I am literally where Austin meets Manchac. So I'm at the, but I like being here. But all these, like we were talking about Round Rock or Driftwood, I think when people are moving here, which like, again, I don't mind, is that's kind of like the spots people should be looking at, because what this city has become is it's a little congested. There's a lot of people here. You go out, you kind of get away. If you're in Lockhart or Driftwood or Dripping Springs or Round Rock or any of these places, that's the move, in my opinion. I mean, if you can get a spot downtown, that's great. But like, then you got to make arrangements to go to these wonderful spots.
So if that place, that area that you mentioned by Mopac with a Jewish neighborhood, that's a bit out of the way.
No, that's right in the heart of it.
It's still 5-10 minutes, from downtown. It's right there. It just depends on.
Go ahead.
Like whether like, you know, I would say the transportation in the city is kind of weird because there's not a lot of neighborhoods where you would just walk all the time, right? So I think if you're starting a restaurant in Austin, that's something to think about. If you want to be in a populated area that people are just going to walk to versus having to drive, because everybody drives in this city like normally. I mean, we have public transportation, but it's just like safer to take a car, and like bike riding has got kind of sketch too with all the influx of like, you know, out of towners coming in. And so that's what I would think. So if you're trying to open a restaurant, if you try to open it somewhere of like South Congress where there's shops, there's culture, there's music, there's everywhere, or like on Lamar, which is another populated street that's kind of becoming more walkable now because, you know, there's just so much traffic everywhere. That's kind of what I think about is, you know, Congress is really expensive. Obviously, it's like the premier street, but if you have a restaurant that hits there, I mean, you're in the, you know, center of downtown where you can see the Capitol, and, you know, there's a 10-minute walk to 6th Street. So there's something about that, I think, as well.
Have you been to a place by Lamar and Ben White? It's called Casa Azul, I think it's called. So
I've heard of that.
Tequila. Is it tequila?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Azul tequila. Azul tequila. Azul tequila.
I haven't been there, but I know where it is.
Okay. Incredible.
Oh, nice. Cool. All right.
Incredible. Great mariachi, great food. It's from a very specific region in central Mexico. That's the center of all the trade routes. And so there's everything. The cabrito, the pesco empanado is amazing. They do cochinita pibil. They do pozole on the weekends. And
Nice.
really, really, and the relleno is very, very good. He said he's never seen it anywhere like that other than, you know, his mom's kitchen, but very good, very unusual, but very delicious.
Nice.
Well, I guess that could fall under. Sorry, go ahead, Troy.
Oh yeah, I would say I'm going to try that. I'm a mariachi myself too, so I'm all about that.
Really? Can I tell you, I did mariachi work for a little minute. I did. My specialty was Árboles de la Barranca, and I have footage of me in the Garibaldi in Mexico City. My friend was like, bullshit, and I sang with this mariachi band to prove that I knew Árboles de la Barranca. And then
nice.
He didn't believe that I could do the grito, the little cry at the end, and I was I can fucking do it, bro.
You know what makes a grito even better is when you got a little tequila in your belly and you're just, you know, you're just feeling good and it comes out. My wife has heard me sing mariachi so many times, and her grito has developed so much now, where when she does it, you know, she's white woman. When she does it, like Mexicans will turn and look at her like after she does it because they're like, who just did that fantastic grito? And it's my wife, and it's so hilarious. And she's
Are you
a
of Mexican descent?
Well. Oh yeah, for sure.
From where in Mexico?
So my family comes from the part that was kind of like acquired by Texas, that Mexico and Texas area, and so some of my dad's family's more Spanish German, and then my mom's family kind of in that area. So, but my last name is Cardona, but I mean, yeah.
Are you bilingual?
Yeah, so that's where I'm from. I am not, but I can sing in Spanish very well, and and several other languages as well. I've been singing my whole life, but no, I've done a lot of singing in different languages, but never had time to really learn one. So, but I understand a lot of Spanish and kind of speak Spanglish with my grandparents and things like that. So,
where do you do the mariachi stuff?
So there's a group in town here in Austin at Casa Maria's, and they play every Friday night, and they're called Mariachis Castros. And and I just met them. It was a few years ago. Long story short, it's like I was there for my birthday at this other restaurant, Matt's El Rancho, which you got to try here.
Okay.
Matt's El Rancho when you come. Yes. It's been there for 60 years. It's fantastic. You got to get a TKO margarita too.
Wait, which is the one? Was that Cosmic Taco? I've been,
and so I met him, and I told my wife, hey, I'm going to sing with the mariachis tonight. And she was like, you are? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to give him some money, and I'm just going to sing with them. It was my birthday too, and I hadn't really performed mariachi since I was like 12 or something at the time. And I was just like, let's do it. And I did it. And now we're like really good friends, and they'll like have
That's
like a special thing and
amazing.
be like, hey, will you come out and sing for my family? Or like, you know, they'll be like, yeah, just they're really special people. And it's kind of revitalized music in my life and creativity at a time when I needed it most. So
love that. Yeah, no, I think, like I said, when I went into Azul Tequila and they were doing a version of Who Let the Dogs Out, I was like, what the fuck? And, you know, and like, let me tell you, I was a little more in shape when I was doing it. Like those pants make you make some decisions, homie. Like with the botones on the side or whatever else. But like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, just doing it, like without the hat on, or if the hat was like dropped back, you're walking around there like a fucking toreador with that short jacket and those tight pants with the botones and heels like Elizabeth Taylor, boy. And I had to wear a dance belt to like, and it's not like, oh, my cock is so big, but literally it was just like I needed to sort of find like some storage because those like I'm telling you, you could tell I was Jewish like to a degree. I was doing the Silence of the Lambs, and that maybe that helped the grito.
Yeah, there you
But
go. That's how you get higher.
I remember we did Álvares de la Barranca, and there was a song I think Los Lobos recorded it called Carabina 3030, and like, yeah, it was just so funny because you had this Jew and a South American guy and Puerto Rican guy and we're Árboles. It's so funny.
That's awesome. Heck yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
a good time.
We're gonna have to go over there specifically and take some photos because we have a segment on here which is like where are your favorite spots to eat in Austin, and I think maybe that might be one of them because you started going into it.
Oh yeah, I would
I
say
mean,
Azul Tequila. I still go to One in a Million. I still love
yeah,
everyone at Driftwood. I loved my meal at Suerte. I love Jesus. I mean, I remember going late night to what's it called? Whataburger.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I love Tip Top Candy Shop. I had a great meal at Guero, actually. I love Baby A's. There's that dude who makes, is it called Best Worst on 6th Street?
Yeah.
Um,
I've been
there,
there before.
the little
Okay.
cart, that bar in the youth hostel, which now is not as secret as it used to be. The
Native.
one,
Native Hostel. Is that
is
one?
that what it's like the Firehouse Hostel, I think it's called.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not
Um,
sure.
but they had a really delicious sandwich with boucheron cheese. Like they made it with like all their charcuterie stuff. That was really
Oof.
tasty. I love Casino El Camino, like
Yes.
forever and a day.
Yeah, you've mentioned some good ones already.
Easy Tiger, the bakery, right? Isn't that
Oh,
called Easy
Mhm.
Tiger?
they've been doing
Yeah.
really well. Yeah, they opened
Yeah.
up quite a few spots because there was just the one on 6th Street, but they've opened up a few more locations, and yeah, they've been doing well. They were killing it.
So yeah, those are some of my favorites, but I know I really do need to try Franklin's and I really want to go to La Barbecue. Big
Yeah.
time.
Well,
And yeah, go ahead.
if you're ever down, we'll throw you some ranch riders. You can go to Franklin's and make a day of it.
How long is the line on average? 2 hours, 3 hours?
I
It just
mean,
depends on the day. It's better to go during the week for sure. But I mean, during the weekend, people get there as early as like 5 a.m. and it opens at 11. So
yeah, there's definitely some flux, but the weekends, it also I think depends on the time of year.
yeah,
But if you're planning on possibly coming here, I mean, you'll make it happen eventually.
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
We
picture
could.
me like all drunk and fucked up, and they're like just the
Yeah.
first one online. People just walking around me. I'm all passed out. I
Yeah,
guess he's not going, and I'm just like
Right.
there, passed out in my
yeah,
own pee, just dreaming of brisket.
yeah. If you ever come
And
in
what?
town, we could take you there. Take you to an FC game. The stadium is
Yes,
beautiful. I
And
go. I'm
so fun.
going
I
a couple
look good
weeks.
in green too, man. That's the problem, man. I love, I respect NYCFC. I'm a big Yankee fan, and Red Bulls have always been fantastically kind to me. But like, your boy looks good in green, and that Yeti logo is strong. It's like a cool sponsor. I was like, God
Yeah,
damn,
yeah. That
maybe
was
I could come
clutch.
out. Can I come out with my drum? And be like, all right, we're gonna go play some drums. I drove in.
Yes.
I live, here's where I live is in Texas, 45 minutes north of downtown. I enjoy the drive myself, and I like to play there. Listen to music, chills me out. It's fun. Meanwhile,
That all works.
Yeah, I was hoping, but seeing him with that green suit playing the drums, I was like,
Yeah.
man, talk about living the dream. He had that
Oh,
book,
yeah.
green Lights out not too long ago, and I just loved he would like go on the show and just kind of go into a high soliloquy. He's like, so I was having all this good luck. It's like he's like the hot, semi-lucid version of Gary Busey.
There you go.
I was, I'm finding I'm having all this success and I'm having this beach house and all these green lights. So I'm getting these green lights. So what's the red lights on the board? I was like, whatever you say, man, I'm hypnotized. I'm in.
Yeah.
I bought it. I'll take 12. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. Yes. Belly. Oh
Yeah.
God, you were so good in the what's it called? Time to kill. Yeah, that was his Grisham one, right?
It was very
So,
seductive
yeah.
voice. I mean, that book, that Green Lights book, I guess if you listen in audio, he's I mean, like you're just listening to him, right? The whole time.
He does this.
Are you even listening? It's just
I use the Calm app for sleep stories, and he has one there. And I think it may have been something different. I think it was called Blue and Gold, but Blue and Gold may be a different story. But I had this joke of a friend of mine, and it may have been something different, but I was like, what would the Blue and Gold story with Matthew McConaughey be like? And we just started laughing, going like, all right, this story about things with blue and gold, smarts, they're blue, and corn, some of them gold, and blueberries. They're kind of more indigo, but we'll just call them blue and gold. I know some Jews in Hollywood named Gold. I felt like I'm already asleep. Just hear myself do it. People like, this is shitty. Like Adam Richman screwed up your podcast anyway, but now I'm asleep. Now I'm tired.
no, I love it. Love it.
I was
When
hungry
was the
and I
last
fell
time you
asleep.
were here?
Too long ago. I'm coming to Dallas for work in May, but I need to extend. But I think the last time may have been when I went to Suerte. I can't remember when that trip was. It's too
Well,
long ago.
Suertes, that's relatively new. I mean,
Yeah,
they've been,
it's within the past
that was
couple of
5
years
years ago, probably, because they just
Yeah.
hit their 5th anniversary this past week,
Here,
Suerte.
let me tell you, I'll look for in my photos and search by Austin Tejas, and
yeah, and you'll have to tell us. So you said you're going to Dallas and for
2019,
work.
September of 2019.
Oh, yeah, that's like yesterday. It's right before the shit hit the fan.
There's the picture of Yoshi doing
Oh yeah.
showing his thing.
Yeah.
Yep. It
Oh,
was actually
yeah.
right before, because then I'm looking. Yeah, and what I love that's how like that's the great thing. Like I met, with the exception of Yoshi, met everyone that evening, and it was the best night. And it's the best night. You go from having, I've never tried Espolo, never been to these restaurants, so good, and then you see like guys like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it's about. Middle of 6, chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it.
That's awesome.
Have you been to Justine's ever?
No.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that's
a good
I guess
recommendation.
that would
What's
be the
that?
one recommendation I would say if you were going to come, like
Justine's?
someone like yourself. Yeah, Justine's Braziers.
What kind of place is it?
French
Yeah.
inspired. Yeah,
Well,
and it
you'll
stays
have-
open late till like 2 or 3 a.m. on the weekends. And so like you can just go, have some drinks before and then head over there late night and just, spend a couple of hours dining. And it's just such a cool experience. Great food, super French. So
super French, and just take a look at their Instagram. I mean, you'll kind of get
Here's
get
Crazy
the
Chicken
idea.
Man. Here's Crazy Chicken Man, by the way.
God.
You're not
Delete
even supposed to have that photo.
You know what? Fuck that guy. I'm gonna hold it
It's
up here. This
contraband.
is the only thing that's gonna be in the Zoom from now on. I'm gonna
Right.
sit here twisting my body just to make sure I get his bitch ass in focus. That's right.
That
He
is-
went at me and I was like, all right, fine, I'm just gonna call the cops. That was it. And then and the funny thing was he was so pissed because the cops came, and not only were they like this motherfucker, because they've dealt with him before, they were fans. So then he saw them take a picture with me. And boy, was he salty. He was crazy.
Oh my
I
God.
said, you best get on with that chicken ass. I was
No,
like, if you
that's
touch
awful.
me, I'm gonna
Right.
shove that chicken up your asshole. And seriously, he followed me to whatever hotel. Oh, look here. Here, look what this is so interesting. I had written this, must have been an IG story. Austinites. Those
Okay.
visiting Austin. This man is crazy and unstable. Avoid.
I'll
No,
bet you, wouldn't it be funny if he's like a fan of the cast? He's like, wait a minute.
not anymore.
Right. You
Not-
said
awesome.
you're coming to Dallas. Is that for the
Work.
History Channel?
For work. No, well, related to we're with our network
Okay.
with Spectrum, yeah. But I just I'm it's the coolest. Like it just that the awareness of the brand of that channel is just so amazing. Like we were filming Modern Marvels in Pennsylvania during COVID, and we had a shelter in place because of a potential COVID scare at a place we had been to and where we were going, ironically enough. And so we had to just cool our jets, and we were by Gettysburg. And the thing is, you go there, and all of a sudden I meet this dude, and he's got a History Channel hat on, and I'm like, oh, I'm the host of Modern Marvels. And suddenly you have credibility, and you're right there. And that's why. So this season, I have 4. So right now, we finished season 2 of Toys That Built America, but I have Food That Built America Sundays 9/8 Central, and then I have one with Peyton Manning on Monday nights that are 10/8 Central called 10/9 Central called The Greatest of All Time, and then coming up later this year is The Rebels That Built America. That's the next one.
That
And
sounds
that's-
like a
Nice.
cool one.
That's really
Yeah.
effing cool.
Yeah. The so that's cool. The other thing I don't want to forget to mention here, and I'll obviously link it in the episode description, because we're pretty far into this, is that you're doing a podcast now also called
The Meals That Made Me.
The Meals That Made Me.
Yeah,
Is
with
that-
with Complex and Lexus. Yeah, the well, first, First We Feast is the food arm
That's
of
right.
Complex. So they do, obviously, the most famous thing they do is Hot Ones with my buddy Sean Evans, with the wings and the interview with,
Oh,
Things Get Hotter.
We've
Yeah,
got a riff
so
on that
good.
here at a place.
It's a
Yeah.
brilliant model, and Sean is an exceptional interviewer. And then I would say, what else would they know? I mean, there's Food
Oh,
Grails,
the burger, First
the
We
Burger
Feast
Show,
Fish.
the
Yeah,
Burger
they're
Show.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
absolutely.
great
That's
channel.
the brilliant Justin Boas, or Bolas, excuse me. So he and Chris Schoenberger together worked with Lexus to create some kind of podcast version of the first show that popped for them, which were the 10 dishes that made my career. And so in the podcast, which you can get on Spotify or your Apple Podcast app, anywhere you get podcasts, what's really cool is it's not just chefs. So it ranges from Andrew Zimmern and Chef Esther Choi from Mock Bar and Miss You in New York to E40 to Ghetto Gastro. And you're really getting like a broad range of culinary experiences. And it's like the dishes that have shaped who you are, as opposed to I got famous for this taco, so therefore this taco. Although that's
Right.
kind of there, but it could range from that to mom's spaghetti. You know what I mean?
I love that. I always love hearing about what people ate when they were growing up. Or
Absolutely.
so are you
Mhm.
enjoying doing the podcast?
So much. I've wanted to do one for a long time. Talk too goddamn much anyway. But like I've never really known, and this will sound very silly, how to do one, like the editing, where you upload, how you upload, what kind of file. Like it's always seemed really daunting to me.
Sure.
And so it was really nice having experts hold my hand and having producers that can edit and shape and add nuance that I simply don't understand. I mean, the other thing is, as you guys know, it's consistency. And like I'm struggling with that on social. So once I get consistent with one, I think I might like to try my hand at the other. The other thing is, as I'm sure you know, it's probably very hard to stand out in the podcast space. Like I don't even know if I
Yeah.
did
that's
it, would
like-
I get a listener? Like I don't know.
Well, that's like the ongoing, everybody has a podcast now, and then if it's a a podcaster has like 7 podcasts, like Bert Kreischer, for example, or somebody.
That's the
They've-
homie.
Right. They've got all these different things going on, but it's difficult to stand out, but it's also real fun and real. I mean, like I love doing this podcast. I think we have tons of fun.
Is it hard to
super
edit?
great.
Like when you're like rapping with someone like me for an hour, 40 minutes, it's got to be like, holy shit.
No. You've got no, yeah. We've been going for a good minute here, but I learned a long time ago when I was editing, because I'll end up editing these, that I would be going this meticulous editing process, and I realized that like all I was doing was cutting myself out, because I was like, sound like an idiot there, you sound like an idiot there. And I was like, well, back off, let it be organic, let it come out. So a lot of our podcasts, it's like, unless
One
there's
take.
something, yeah, it's one take. A lot of it goes out there. We do a little things here at the beginning, but we don't go too crazy with like cutting things out, because if I do, you won't hear me speaking the entire time, because I think I sound like an idiot every time I open my mouth, or used to.
I'm glad that because it's the truth. We all have that critical voice, and that the hardest part of self-love is to tell that thing to shut the F up and to just sort of love yourself. So
Right,
I applaud you for having the temerity to do it, right? Everyone's a critic, but it's the man in the arena that's actually the hero. So I give you nothing but props.
Well, thanks for that. There's something I gotta say to you, and is that when you start talking about the stuff that you're doing with the Food That Built America, and you're digging it, like you say, you start going, they can't turn you off. I think that's really, I mean, it's also interesting. I feel like
Thank you.
that should be a podcast too. I mean, like, because
And
it
I would
totally
do
could
it.
be.
It's funny, and they do a Food That Built America podcast, and I think it's so odd that I'm not involved with it. I'm not shitting on your History
Oh,
Channel.
really?
I didn't even know that there was one until I saw a commercial.
No
I don't know
shit.
who's on it. I don't know anything about it, and I'm too butthurt to listen to it because
Oh,
I'm like a little
no.
bitch. No, it's fine. I've always, I have 2 very strong ideas for podcast, in my opinion. One of which, so I've been blessed to work with a couple veterans charities, and in particular, I used to be chairman of the board of the Armed Forces Foundation, co-chairman with Pat LaFrida, and then later Ann Burrell. But I started working with Clear Path for Veterans out of Syracuse. And they have this hall where you get all these vets who come in for a meal and to hang out. It's not like a VFW, because these guys can get skills and take classes in yoga and meditation and agriculture, what have you. And I always wanted to do a podcast like about those guys and like group it by different things. But I think that there's a lot of stories that should
Yeah.
not be lost to the ether of time, you know what I mean? And so I have that idea. Then also, like I say, I am the craziest repository of cool facts and interesting stories, I think, and I feel other people would like them. And I think that even if it's just this installation is some other random cool shit you didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And like, for
Yeah.
example, like one of the things I'm always very like turned on by is the fact that Leonardo da Vinci was, he used real models for people that he painted. And so when he was doing the Last Supper, he was looking for someone to play Jesus. And in his journals, he talked about finding this young peasant boy, and he had just this purity and this love and this radiant warmth and light and love that radiated from him. And he used this shepherd as this farm, boy, whatever, as the model for Jesus. And he had gone on years and years later, and he was looking for someone for Judas. And he would go to prisons and stuff, and he had gone to this incredibly fetid dungeon prison years later. And he saw this guy, and apparently he wrote in his journals that the sin was etched on his face. And he had this man sit for Judas, and the guy was laughing towards the end. And he said, "What's funny?" He said, "Surprised you didn't recognize me. You painted me 3 years ago as Jesus."
My God.
Whoa.
That is
So when I'm saying
crazy.
is shit like that, I believe in between going, "This brought to you by Windex. Want that streak free shine?"
That is a
Windex, give me money.
crazy story.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there's little things like that. And I'm also into random shit. So super into like the Lincoln assassination.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's just like I listen to podcasts while I'm driving, while I'm on the train, while I'm killing time, while I'm working out. And I think that if it's just something that's kind of cool and told in an engaging manner, fuck it, let's let it roll.
Well,
I think
well, you've got I don't know what kind of contracts you have, but like you could, kind of put your podcast into like, oh, it's about this. Like I thought it would be cool to interview buskers in New Orleans and just like hear what they're doing and get a little performance. But like that's what it would be. And here we focus on chefs, but like, I mean, like you got a lot of stuff going on. You could just have the Adam Richman podcast and like talk about whatever and
That's really where I think it's gonna have to lie. But time will tell. I have a deli to open in Austin.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah. And then we'll, Austin all day talking about this deli, or we can get that going for sure.
Done and done, baby. Let's get it going.
Well, I think it's been fabulous to have you on here.
Thank you so much for all the time. You guys are very generous.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for teaching us things today. I think, with the podcast you're saying is like your delivery is great. Like you're super educating, informative, but also very entertaining. So, I think that's part of it too, is like anybody can spout off information, but the way you present it is really awesome. And I think, we're honored to have, we're honored to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. When you're in town, definitely give us a shout. And
please, we'll have the powers that be link us so there could be a pickle and alcohol exchange.
Yes.
My favorite things.
And then Buc-ee's and all these little trips we're talking about.
Yeah.
Make them all come
You got
to
it.
life.
It's a deal, gentlemen.
All right, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me get everybody to smile on camera right now. I'm going to do a screenshot. Here you go. 1, 2, and 3. Got it. Cool.
All right.
Take care, y'all.
All right, gentlemen. You guys be good.
All right, man.
All the best.
Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.